live streaming thing. We should be going live. Looks like it's starting. Stream health. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of H-Bit Gaming, short for History Bit Gaming. It's where we take a look at consoles of the past and kind of compare them over the weeks to consoles of the future and revisit some memories from old gaming systems. So I'm Steven, and my co-host here is...
I'm Jules.
And with that said, we're going to get right into the PlayStation 2. So, that might be a little loud.
Ta-da!
Yes, it's got that nice, sleek startup screen, which actually changes based on how many games you've played and how many times you've played them. Over time, it'll actually populate it with more like towers and things like that. I don't remember if it reads out of the internal system's memory or if it's based on the memory card you have plugged in, but I just remember like having it change over time as I continued to play more games or
That's
things
probably
like
my
that.
favorite fact you've said so far. Like, that's very fascinating to me.
It's really interesting that they put that much attention to detail in just the startup screen, which for a lot of people would just be like, oh, it's whatever, it's just our logo.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted to kind of immerse you in that, even if like a lot of people, like you don't necessarily know that that's what's going on. So first game we're going to be checking out today is Silent Hill 2, because I checked out Silent Hill 1 on the PlayStation 1. I do have the director's cut, so we're just going to go with the main scenario. And just normal across the board. There is definitely an increase in graphical quality, and like especially in the textures, the models and everything for this game. You can definitely tell that they took a lot advantage of the system's higher amount of processing power to make more realistic everything and try to go for a more immersive atmosphere.
This is kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's one of the earlier horror games. It was like basically one of the rival survival horror series, like to Resident Evil at the time. And unfortunately, a lot of the newer games have kind of gone downhill in terms of quality over the years. Like none of them really captured the same kind of unsettling feeling the older ones did.
I'm already kind of unsettled. This is creepy to me. I don't like anything horror-based, as I've said in previous episodes, so this is gonna be a little interesting for me to watch.
So this is another one of those games where at the time, a lot of the survival horror had this weird kind of like tank control thing going on, where you actually just, instead of moving in whatever direction you pushed, you actually had to stop and turn, or kind of turn at the same time using the directional pads, which is kind of funky.
Is this like an adventure game? Like you just kind of have to figure everything out for your own?
Sort of. Oh yeah, I forget how they did the reflections, because I don't think the hardware was capable of actually doing reflections, so I think that's actually a separate room back there with a second model of James that's mirroring his every step.
That's cool.
Because they didn't have enough processing power to actually do like full-on like real reflections. And yeah, so this game is basically you find yourself in Silent Hill looking for your dead wife who sent you a letter, and things just spiral out of control from there. So one thing I really like about this game is how much psychological horror it brings into everything, where like there's a whole lot of interpretation to all the different enemies and the storyline and everything like that. And there's a whole slew of alternate endings too, based on how you play the game, and just doing certain things throughout that you would never know unless you like had a walkthrough or stumbled across it through trial and error. Another thing that I love about this game is their use of fog. They basically kept that rolling from the first Silent Hill, where they used fog to hide any of the areas of the game world that weren't loaded in or weren't able to be loaded in yet. So instead of having stuff just pop up out of nowhere, it would be hidden behind the fog and load in as you walked towards it.
Possibly be true.
I feel so like uneasy watching it. It's very, like you said, the psychological horror of it. It's like it's very creepy and like just I don't know. I can't think of another word for creepy. But creepy.
Yeah. And like the fog, it's really thick in certain places too, and it looks more realistic than Silent Hill 1's fog, which really helps with that atmosphere and immersion. I gotta say, I adore the soundtracks of all the Silent Hill games, pretty much. Downpour was alright, but that was actually the first Silent Hill soundtrack that was done by a different composer. But Akira Yamaoka did all of the other Silent Hill soundtracks that I know of, and he's hands down one of my favorite video game composers for sure. So this is another good example of how games continued to get more and more story heavy and exposition heavy as time went on, as they became more cinematic because of the graphics. Whereas with the Atari games, there really was no explanation or story.
Compared to what was the horror Atari game that we played?
No. Haunted
House. Compared to that, this is so incredibly advanced.
Yeah. And PlayStation 2 came out in 2000? Or, yeah, I think 2000.
What year was this game?
This game itself was, I think, 2002. I could be wrong about that.
This is... Yeah. 2002.
And that's the director's cut, so the original game was probably like 2001. Yeah, this is one of the few PS2 games that actually the greatest hits label game has extra content compared to the original version. A lot of them didn't do that, but there's a handful of them that did, and this is one of the few that did. Look at all that fog. So, the other fun thing is on the Xbox 360 episode, I do own the HD remake or remasters of this game, as well like all the original Silent Hill games. And the fog is drastically reduced in those games. So even though some of the textures are a higher fidelity, overall the atmosphere really suffers because of stupid design choices.
So I'm reading the pamphlet right now, just because I was curious more about the game. And it's just a very stupid thing that they wrote in it. And it says, handling your PlayStation 2 format disc. Do not bend it, crush it, or submerge it in liquids. And I feel like that's a very vague, like, very weird suggestion, like advisory. Like, why would you for fun just submerge your PlayStation 2 disc in a liquid?
Yeah, usually electronics and liquids don't
typically mix. I feel like that's common sense, though. But, maybe not.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of weird warnings on things, like do not point the sharp edge at yourself on like knives and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like you wouldn't think it would need to be explained, especially to an adult, maybe to a child, yes.
But this is a mature game, so like I feel like that would be a common sense thing.
Exactly.
But who knows?
Oh man, I love how oppressive the fog makes you feel, especially when you're like in areas like the graveyard and stuff like that. And then even when you get inside where there is no fog, they do a really good job of using the limited like hallway space and things like that, and corridors and like a lot of locked doors to really make it more claustrophobic.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Are we in the graveyard?
It's okay.
Yeah.
I just read about this
Scary.
in the pamphlet.
I'm kind of lost.
That is, I could tell you whose name that is. That is
Lost?
Angela.
Yeah.
Her age is unknown, and her occupation is unknown. But James first meets her in the cemetery, and from the beginning, there's something shadowy about her. Ever since childhood, she was convinced that she would never be happy.
Thanks.
She ran away from home shortly after graduating from high school, but her father found her and dragged her back home. She ran away from home again, this time to Silent Hill, but now she is lost.
Yeah, so basically each of these characters have their own like dark pasts that have kind of drawn them in one way or another to Silent Hill. And Silent Hill almost acts like, spoilers for a really old game, but Silent Hill basically like creates itself in the way they see it based on their own mental states and their own histories. A lot of way, it's very much, a lot of people have like compared it to purgatory, where it's basically them trying to cope with whatever personal issues they have going on. And a lot of those take form in the shape of monsters that are specific to whoever is experiencing their personal hell, basically. So there's a whole lot of depth to the storyline of this game, and there's a lot of really good scenes. A lot of really dark subject matter in it too. Which actually, I'm pretty sure parts of this game had to be censored when it got ported from the Japanese version, especially to like Europe and stuff like that. Like, there's a pretty spoiler-heavy scene like towards the end that deals with James and his wife that had to be like heavily censored in America and in Europe.
Isn't there a rating higher than mature in video games in the
There
United
is
States?
adults only, which most places won't stock any adults only games. So a lot of developers won't even bother creating them, or if they do get an adults only rating, they'll censor it to drop it down to a mature rating. Because for a long time, I think the adults only rating was primarily only given to like smut games, and then eventually, as games got more cinematic and more like involved and tried to dive into like more controversial topics like this one does, it also began getting spread to like intense violence and things like that, or like really heavy subject matter that people thought like shouldn't be in the hands of the children, but it's rated mature for a reason. Children aren't supposed to be playing those games. So like they should be able to deal with mature topics. And like, I don't know. There's a lot of the whole like argument of censorship of games that they don't understand. It's just as valid of an art form as movies are. You know?
I agree.
Like, they have to be able to delve into some of those topics, especially because it is an interactive media, which completely can change the weight of certain decisions, because you're the one that has to either do them or like, I think this is the right way, or you're the one that has to kind of like make those choices, which can really put you into the game and make you rethink things in a way that a movie couldn't, because you're a passive observer in that case. Alright.
Sorry, I'm just looking up stuff about this game because now I'm really interested.
I'm trying to get to at least the first enemy before we switch over to, we're going to do Mortal Kombat next, so we can kind of showcase how much it's changed since the Sega days, because the last one we played was Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Genesis. So it'll be cool to see that huge jump forward in terms of graphical quality and like in terms of how they did things with the models, instead of being more of like rotoscoped actual like footage of people and like then turned into semi 3D models. They did like fully fledged polygonal 3D models that were just completely computer generated for like these later Mortal Kombat games. Which gave it a more, somehow actually gave it a less cartoony feel, because of the way that the other graphics mixed. the other thing I love about this game is the use of audio, which actually harkens back to the whole Atari Haunted House game, where a lot of that was primarily through audio because they couldn't really do anything with the visuals as much.
A lot of this is, as I've like observed from the past few minutes, is steps. They do a lot with steps, just like the Atari game did, which is one thing that hasn't changed. But then, in addition to like the smoke, you have like the background music, which is just super eerie, and like these like random noises.
Yeah, there's Akira Yamaoka used a lot of ambient sounds, especially with using like metallic scrapes and things like that, heavy machinery, which really adds this unsettling, otherworldly kind of tone to it, but like still grounded in reality in a way, which is very impressive. I gotta say, so this game actually, I was playing this game late at night one night for a while, and getting used to all those like those metallic mechanical sounds, meaning like something bad is coming or something.
That like kind of.
Yeah. And so I finally fell asleep, and I woke up at like 4 or 5 a.m. to this like loud screeching outside of my window, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I realized it's just the garbage truck coming to take our garbage away, but it scared the crap out of me because I had been playing this game, and it like linked those
that's
kind of
the
sounds
point.
with my psychology.
It's the same thing with scary movies.
Yeah. All right, here we go. First enemy.
We got another Twitter follower.
Nice.
Go us. 37 followers.
Ready for the first enemy?
I don't know if I'm ready for the first enemy.
Yeah, I always wanted to play this game as a kid, and I was never able to. And like playing it now, like as an adult, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see why. Like, I would have had nightmares for days. I forget the controls. There we go.
Is it dead?
So I'm on normal mode, so they're pretty easy to take care of. But later on in the game, you get swarmed with a lot of them, and this game has a lot of really interesting and unique enemy designs that, like I said, are all tailored to be based on James's psyche and his own past, as like that you find out more about as the game progresses. It's just very, very well done game overall. Yeah, now he's hearing his dead wife's voice over the radio static.
What the? I'd better take it anyway. I might need it.
Alright, so I think that seems like a good enough look at this game. Yeah, almost 20 minutes. That's the other thing about the games as they progress into like this generation of systems, is because they get so much more cinematic, a lot of them tend to take a lot longer to get started up. So let's go into
Mortal Kombat.
yes. Mortal Kombat Deception. So, no. Yeah, there we go. Caught that just in time before I booted back into the game. So yeah, this I think the PlayStation 1 also had a browser menu like this because they also used memory cards and disk-based loading and stuff like that. But I do like how sleek they made everything on the PlayStation 2 in terms of user interface design and everything. And I feel like Sony really set the tone for that kind of stuff. Actually, that in case you need a laptop. Because before that, most games just booted up directly into the game itself, and there was no, like, the hardware wasn't really there to be able to have those kind of interactive screens yet.
We got another follower.
Nice. Wow. It's going up.
Yay. 38.
So one thing I never really knew as a kid, like I always knew the PlayStation 2 only had 2 controller ports, which was part of why I was always such a Nintendo guy, because like I was like, oh, you can play with 4 people instead. But the PlayStation 2 does actually have adapters that you plug into the first or second controller port.
I used to play with more than 2 people on the PS2.
You can have up to 8 people, I think, at a time on certain games. Where, there we go. Because if you have, you can have, basically each of those expansion ports have 4, up to 4 controllers, and you can have 2 plugged in at a time. So certain games you can actually play up to 8, with 8 people overall, which is really cool. Like, I don't think I was able to really do that until I got an original Xbox and started to play stuff online or do like LAN parties with my friends. Whoa, look at those effects, man.
Hey, it's definitely improved from the last one we played.
Yeah, it's super realistic compared to the Sega. Like, with that fireball at the beginning. I was afraid I was gonna get singed. Electricity is pretty cool. Alright, enough the intro cutscene. Let's get into the gameplay.
This is a game.
Fancy.
The one thing I don't like about the PS2 controllers is that it's very similar to other video game controllers, but that there's 2 buttons up top.
Yeah,
like
instead of having the trigger.
I can't like rest my fingers on either button.
Yeah, I never really got used to holding it with like fingers on each one. I know you can.
I always,
but like I usually
put
just
my fingers underneath this little rest here.
Yeah.
And then use one finger up top.
For a lot of games, it's not too. How do you do? There's puzzle combat? What?
Let's do puzzle combat.
Is this like Tetris?
It's like
But with fighting?
No, I know what it is. It's not Tetris. It's something very similar to Tetris, though. How do I come in?
Start button.
Start button?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be this person.
I'll be Sub-Zero.
I don't remember what it's called, but I know exactly what we're playing because I played it on a
Weird.
Mario game.
Oh, right. So, yeah, that's right. So certain games use the X button as the select, and then other ones use like the O button as select.
So which one's
I
selected?
think this
in
one
this
is
case?
X. Because I think originally, in Japan, pretty much all the games use the circle button as the select and the X as like a cancel, which makes sense.
Makes sense because
it was actually
cancel.
designed that way when they first made it. But for some reason, when a lot of it got ported over to America, it ended up getting.
No.
Oh no, I messed up. Ay, ay, ay. How do you flip? There we go. puzzle games have never really been my forte.
My forte.
More like an action gamer, but let's see.
Why does some come down fast and some don't?
Oh, whoa. If you press up, it'll make it go faster, and then...
Because some of mine just come down really fast.
Oh man, I'm messing up. Nice. Got a bomb one. Yeah, I know you can speed them up by pressing down on the control pad, and you can insta-drop by pressing up on the control pad. But I'm not sure if there's a reason that they would like fall that fast by themselves. Oh, interesting. So yeah, it is very much like Tetris, but with a few tweaks.
It's the color version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are some of mine falling fast? Like I'm about to lose right now.
It's interesting.
Oh, I think when you attack me,
Oh,
that they
adds
automatically
more.
fall.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wait.
I do like how, because this being Mortal Kombat and everything, like, of course they had to have like the over-the-top gore going on, even if it's a puzzle game. Down at the bottom of the screen, they've lost at least 5 pints
I'm
worth
still
of
having
blood.
trouble understanding what's going on right now.
So you want to try to build up, like...
I know what you're trying to build up, but I don't understand why some of mine are coming down super fast and some of them aren't. Even though I know, like...
Yeah, it seems to be like
down.
when I actually break something. But then, no, because that one didn't.
Oh, but the next sponge did.
Oh, weird.
No.
Alright, let's see. Okay. Why did we both fly backwards there?
Whoosh. I like that. The one eye. Everything else is red, but just the one eye.
I like how the gore just like freezes in place too, like flying, like...
The gore isn't even like as advanced as the rest of this is.
Yeah. Alright, let's
go
go to an
play
actual...
the regular version of this game now.
Yeah. Give it an actual, classic. I guess, yeah, it would be classic. There's also chess combat? I never knew that.
I don't know how to play chess, so that might not be the option that we should go with.
Yeah, plus chess is a very, like, a long, drawn-out game, so probably not.
I'm gonna be this one, Nightwolf.
Nightwolf. Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero's always been my character, even since I was playing in the arcades. I don't know why. There's just something about the ice powers that
I've definitely played this in an arcade. Like, I recognize all the characters, and their big heads. All right,
wow, yeah,
give
look at...
me a quick moment to figure out my controls.
Oh, right, this has...
Oh, this is like 3D.
Oh,
like the way that they can move forward and backwards.
Yeah,
all right,
it
punch,
took a lot of
kick,
stuff from
elbow,
Soul
knee,
Calibur at this point.
Backflip. Can I front flip? No, of course not.
You can change your You can change your fighting style by pressing the left one trigger.
Taekwondo. Ooh, now I have time hawks. What?
Ah. Oh no! Oh no! I like how he's just got a giant ice sword.
have a century-old strategy of click every button.
Yeah, just button mash.
Hope for the best.
Ah! It seems to be working.
No, now it's not.
Alright. There we go. I
It
don't know any of them.
I did better though. I got like half your death.
I wish I knew the finishing moves better, but I never was able to memorize them.
Should we get another one?
I'm gonna be... I guess it'll be Scorpion.
I'll do this guy. Ermac. Ooh, I don't like that at all.
Those creepy teeth, yeah.
That looks like Venom's teeth in the new
Oh, yeah.
Venom things. Films?
Yeah. Just the one so far. I don't know if they're gonna make a second one or not. What's with the hammer in the middle? Can you pick it up? How? Oh, jeez!
I didn't know I could do that. That's freaking awesome. I just knocked you off.
Wow.
Oh no. Yeah,
That
I knocked
was-
you off something.
That was
Did we
brutal.
switch sides?
Yeah, because if you circle around, you can end up on the other side.
And now you're gonna destroy me.
Like how we both our weapons went through each other. I don't know, that axe is pretty dangerous. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Button mash! No!
Oh, man. I had like no health left either.
I think this is our closest game so far, other than
Oh, I missed you with my
the
fire.
stupid dance.
What? What? No!
You lose, I win. Victory is finally mine.
Oh my god. Wow.
Go
That
back.
is so broken.
That should not have just happened. That if I push you into a wall, that you just can't do anything.
So yeah, they definitely hadn't worked all the bugs out of this game, but wow, I'm kind of glad they didn't. That was hilarious.
Baraka now.
Oh man.
That just made my night.
Oh yeah, you're the one with the creepy teeth now, and
Yeah,
like
Baraka.
the reverse Assassin's Creed. Kind of like the Assassin's Creed ones, but I don't think they actually come out of your flesh. Oh, maybe.
Ooh, he's real creepy. I don't like him.
Yeah, he is.
Ooh, I want his nails. What?
What?
Did we just hurt each other?
That was not what I was expecting to happen. Ow.
Why do I just fall to the floor? Do I have no method of defense?
I'm not sure how you defend in this game. It might be like pressing back. Nope, that's not it. Oh. Oh, okay, it's right trigger. Right 2. Oh, oh no! Well, I think I'm dead. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Alright, well that worked. You just got impaled.
Extreme brutality.
Alright, so skill version in this game, back you into a corner and push you off mountain. Skill set.
Come on. Oh. This guy, my character is not really doing what I want to do.
No!
Whoa!
Now my turn to get impaled.
Ugh.
I don't like that.
It's like right through the butt too. That's
I was
so
gonna say,
awkward.
yeah, I was gonna say right through the crotch. She gets impaled. Alright, I'm running to the bathroom.
Okay. I will start up, I guess. Did you want to do another round of this when you get back, or should I actually? I'll probably show off one of the other single-player games we have.
Okay.
Because I kind of wanted to talk about Zone of the Enders. Oh, I forgot this came with the trial edition of Metal Gear Solid 2. Okay. Yes, so next game we're going to be checking out. Oh, jeez. Sorry about that. Is Zone of the Enders. This is actually a little bit lesser known than a bunch of the other PlayStation 2 games, I feel like. It did get a HD remaster on the Xbox 360 relatively well, I guess it's been a few years now, but I haven't actually checked that one out yet because I wanted to play through the original PlayStation 2 version again first before I did, so I can have like an actual comparison standpoint of how well they've improved it. But this was one of the first PlayStation 2 games I ever played as a kid, actually, because I never owned a PlayStation 2 myself. I was always a Nintendo kid, like I've said before. But one of my sister's ex-boyfriends actually had one that he didn't really use that much, and so he was nice enough to lend it to me for a while, along with this game, Zone of the Enders, and Final Fantasy X, which I played a lot of as a kid. But I always used to like Gundam and all those other like mech-based anime and stuff like that. So this one definitely hit me in the right way when I played it, and it really made me want a PlayStation 2 back then, because until then I had only ever really known Nintendo 64 at that point, but I'd never had enough money to pick one up. And when I did have enough money to get a new system, I decided to go with the GameCube instead, because they had improved on a bunch of stuff at that point too. So this one was always really fun, because it got a little grindy after a while. I don't really mind it that much when I was younger, because like when you're a kid, it's one of those things you don't notice as much because you're fine with repetition. But
alright, so what game is this?
It's called Zone of the Enders.
Zone of the Enders.
This is actually, one of the first games I played as a kid for the PlayStation 2. This one and Final Fantasy X. Set in a future world where everything's going crazy. I forgot how unique the voice acting was in this game. I think, looking back, I think that's the other part of the reason that I really liked this game as a kid. Because, like, the main protagonist was also a little kid that then got to, like, fly around in this giant mech suit. And so
do all the things, like, you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. I could, like, live vicariously through him and be like, yes, I'm the hero. And I have this giant robot that I get to beat stuff up with. Gotta say, even though they're dated, the graphics really are not bad at all. Oh, that's blood. Trying to think of other random trivia I know about the PlayStation 2. I don't know too much about this system aside from a lot of the stuff we've talked about. I feel like a lot of the trivia I know is more based on like the individual games themselves than the system.
Well, I will look stuff up while you start playing this game.
I do know they made like a bajillion different models, and if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure this was one of the, if not the longest running systems out there, because a lot of the other systems had a much shorter shelf life in like terms of production and in being sold. But like the PlayStation 2 was still going till like 2005, 2006.
That's because it's one of the most successful systems of all time.
Yeah.
I did know that.
You can definitely see why too, because this, let's see, this game was from where is it? It does not say.
A man named Dan Holmes was so crazy about his PlayStation 2 that he literally changed his name to Mr. PlayStation 2. That's an interesting one.
That's dedication right there. I've heard of some crazy name changes, but like, yeah, that one, you definitely gotta be a fan.
Ready for combat operation.
Yeah, so this game was 2001.
That's the year my brother was born. I did not own I did not own any video game systems in 2001 because I was 4. I was still a wee kid.
I think I got my first one when I was like 5 or 6. And that was the Super Nintendo, which was a little bit easier to pick up and play, I feel like, as a little kid than some of the other more advanced ones. Oh yeah, so you get to fly around, you can shoot, you can charge weapons, I think. There's close combat. Oh my god. Yes. So much nostalgia just came rushing back.
You are correct. You did win.
Last time I played this game, I had to be like 10 or 11, I think.
I detect that you are not the frame runner who was scheduled to pilot the orbital frame.
No, I'm not. I just ran in here while trying to escape. Whoa!
I have detected
I like the
several targets
voice.
exterior to the hangar, unable to confirm the exact number from this position. Move outside following the direction of the arrow.
How do I do that?
Do you want me to explain how to manipulate the frame?
Please.
Roger.
The voice sounds so familiar. I feel like he might have done
You probably did more than...
other voice acting in like cartoons or like the American dubs for anime and stuff, maybe? I should be able to figure out how to move. I don't think I need to.
This is the end of the training session.
Yeah. I don't need no stinking tutorials.
Let us get the Metatron ore from the nearest item box.
Metatron? What is...
It is an essential element of Jehuti. It is needed to automatically repair the body.
Jehuti.
Before going out, you must first get the Metatron ore.
This reminds me very much of one of my first video games, which was a Jimmy Neutron video game. Because it had like it was the main character as a kid. It's like your guide in the game was a robotic voice. It was the Jimmy Neutron like control pad or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this lair thing we're in reminds me of it a lot. Very Very
Please
similar.
pick up the Metatron ore.
I feel like I remember playing a lot of like Nickelodeon games as a kid. I think a lot of them were like the Rugrats ones though.
I played the one, I think it was called like Nicktoons Unite or something. And it was like all the Nickelodeon characters like came together.
I vaguely remember
It's a
that
GameCube
one.
game and a computer game. And the computer game I rented from my library a few times. And the last time that I rented it, it destroyed my computer. Like it had a virus or something on it. And it literally destroyed the computer. Like it infected the computer. It broke the disk drawer.
Oh man.
Like my whole entire computer system was destroyed.
That's ridiculous.
And I never bought the game again. We returned it to the library and we were like, here you go, here's a cracked disc. And here you can have my broken computer. And so the only thing that computer was able to be used for after that was Microsoft Word.
That's ridiculous.
But it is true.
We have shot down the enemy.
But I still love that game.
Okay. I'm like vaguely remembering how to play this. Oh yeah, and then the big, bulky guys that take more damage. So you can use the charge. Oh man. Oh yeah, and then you can do the dash like homing stuff.
Your tweet got 2,000 impressions. That's how many impressions we got last week.
We have shot down
That's awesome.
the enemy.
All from your one tweet. That's so
I have
freaking
detected
awesome.
a Type C orbital frame in front of our position.
No, not a Type C.
From the ones we have previously experienced. Please be careful.
So yeah, they made a second game in this franchise as well that I never actually got around to playing, but I think it had a remaster. It was on the remastered version of this, so I think I own it. I'm not completely sure. But that one's for 360, so. Oh yeah, I forgot about how like. Man, this combat system is so ahead of its time. This is crazy.
What?
It's so cinematic because like they actually will like clash the swords and like block each other and like parry and stuff.
Sorry, I'm still looking up stats.
You embarrassed me this time, so look forward to the
Oh, I'm gonna
next time.
sneeze. I'm ready. It's coming.
See you again, boy.
It's not there yet, but I feel it. It's like, it's in my
I
nose.
hate that. I hate that so much when you're like, I know it's gonna come at any moment. And
Good work, sir.
it's even worse when then it just fades away into nothing because then you never get that release. and
That's
you're
what it's doing right now, and it's killing me.
Killing me, smiles.
Slash here. I've arrived at sector 03. I'll start destroying the
Just
nearby
falling
buildings.
asleep. I should.
The PS2 was produced for 13 years. Even after the PS3 was released, they still produced it because it was so popular. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Viola, report your current status.
No need for that.
Yeah, I remember hearing about like
Don't be so harsh. You're too
going for quite a while after the PlayStation 3 was out. Partially because at that point it was like a lower price point, so more people would still buy it, especially if they wanted to play video games or if they were just getting into it.
I want you to guess the most popular PS2 game. I could probably have guessed it, but you don't have to tell me the exact name, but give me the franchise.
Is it Final Fantasy? No?
This is probably would have been my
Has reached a
first
level
guess.
of -8. Your combat operation will suffer substantially at this level. I
That's
advise
also
you
'cause
to
my
take
brother
some
plays these
medication
games.
to stabilize your condition.
Oh man.
I repeat, your mental
Is it a
condition
sports
is
game? Is it like
declining.
FIFA or
The message is being received from
NFL?
a commercial broadcast. I shall patch it through.
I don't know.
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, wow,
San
yeah.
Andreas was
Yeah.
the most popular game. 17 million copies for the PS2 alone.
Damn.
That's
That is-
just the PS2.
That's
That's
ridiculous.
not including the
Yeah.
Xbox, the 360, and the later PlayStations that it was compatible with.
Yeah. That's a lot of copies of that game.
I didn't have any other
Hey,
choice.
another
I was
follower.
so scared.
Nice.
I couldn't help it.
Such a good week for us
Yeah.
here at History Bit Gaming.
Listen, I must ask you to do
This is,
something
I'm
for
very
us.
proud.
Can you deliver
Our
that
baby is
orbital frame
growing.
to our base?
What?
Our
We are
video
a
game
civilian
son.
transportation company, and we've been asked to carry that orbital frame.
Just like my
Jetty
cat
to
son.
Mars.
Our video game
Didn't you see
son.
any of our people in the
Look
vicinity
at
of
you
Jetty?
sleeping.
He's watching us play video games.
Alan must have been there.
You just
He's the
twitched.
frame runner we sent there.
I think he's
I said
dreaming.
I don't know, didn't I? By the time I got there,
Dude.
everyone was dead.
Itching his ear.
I see. He was supposed
The same
to
one that
operate
twitched
frame.
too.
Now we need your help.
Let's get to 40 followers.
Help us.
Yeah, I remember playing this game and watching like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff.
Mars, anywhere at
Back
all.
when those were like a big thing.
No,
They might
I
still be. I
want
don't
to.
know. I've been out of the cartoon
No, you listen. I could
cartoon
be
game
attacked
for a
again.
while.
And
Like I'll still watch
who
it,
the hell
like
are you
certain ones
anyways?
from time to time, but usually
Why
I
do you
never
love
like
this machine
wake
so
up
much?
early to watch them anymore.
You fought well.
I think the last time I woke up early to watch a Saturday morning cartoon was back when
I suppose you
Pokemon
want
was
me to
airing.
kill again.
Well,
I want nothing more to do with any of you. Go kill or whatever you want. Just leave me out of it. I've got to be going.
then a lot more people will die.
What?
Everybody will die.
Everybody
Your
will
friends,
die.
Your family.
Everybody,
Everybody.
every single one of them. That's heavy for a kid's game.
Yeah, for real.
Everyone will die.
No, it may be the end of civilization as we know it.
The whole world.
You must. Please, help us.
Yeah, you were right when you said in the beginning the
say I
towers
can,
represented
but
saved
how?
game data, so the more towers appearing on the
I
screen,
can't
the more
drive this
saved data
thing.
you had.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I saw you do it, and I know you can do it again.
If you remove the memory card, the towers disappear.
Yeah, okay, it is linked to the memory card.
That's
Cool.
so cool.
Please, help
The
us.
yeah, it's the save data based
do
on
it
how
just
many
this
games you
one
have on the
time,
memory
but
card, I think,
that's
as
all
well
I'll
as
do.
how many times you've accessed each of
that's all
those
we
games.
ask.
So like every time you boot up a game,
if you
it
say
makes
so.
one of the towers a little
Thank
bit
you.
taller.
That's so cool.
But I want you to remember one thing. I will never help you kill anyone.
What other facts can I
Maybe
look
killing
up?
is already
I love fun facts.
Here's one that I remember now.
I understand.
So part of the reason that this was such a good selling system is not even because of the video game capabilities, but because of the DVD
The
that was built in.
DVDs. I read that fact a bunch of times already. Was because it could also act as a DVD player. So people were like, hey, 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Let's get a PS2 instead of a DVD player.
I can really trust
Yep.
you, can't I?
And then like also for like the families that had kids that wanted a video game, yeah. just
And
get
it was
that.
also, it has the online capabilities too. It's one of the first systems to have all the online capabilities so you could play multiplayer around the world. So like with that, the DVD capability and the like multiplayer like in one room capability or single player capability, like it was just it was bought for its system. That's why it was the best selling system of all time. So
Yeah.
Let me bring
When did the Dreamcast come out actually? I forget.
I don't know. It was a direct competitor of the Dreamcast though.
Because I know Dreamcast had some
So it had
online
to-
capabilities as
It had
well.
to have been at around the same time. I want to say
Yeah.
99.
the
but I
module
could
we
be
have
wrong.
obtained.
Yeah, okay. So one thing that's kind of cool is you get close enough down, you actually like, well, like you can like create designs and they'll fade over time, but like that's just cool to begin with that they even have that attention to detail.
Looks like he's ice skating.
And like it actually leaves marks and stuff. All right. So in the interest of time, let's move on to another game.
Can we play one of the racing games
Yes.
to close out our episode because we have 7 minutes remaining?
Yes. So we've got Crazy Taxi, or basically the Simpsons version of Crazy Taxi. Road
Let's play the
Rage.
Simpsons one.
Okay.
Do you know the PS2 in Brazil supported Netflix?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I was actually unaware of that. That's really interesting. Was it like, did you have to buy a disc? To be
Yeah,
able to
it
do it?
supported the Netflix discs, which it didn't in any other country besides Brazil.
Mm. I guess I should start thinking about what my favorite PlayStation 2 games are since we're getting towards the end as well.
Honestly, this is the system I probably like the least because I Not that I know about it the least, but I feel like, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. None of the games today totally stuck out to me. I do like Mortal Kombat because it's such a basic concept. So to me, it's really fun when the games are very basic because they're easy for me to learn as a non-video gamer.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna look creepy. Yeah.
It's so cartoony and like, but weird 3D cartoony.
I want to watch TV.
Boop. Sorry.
One thing too with the PS2 is like the load times are still there, especially on certain games. But oh, nice, we can even do head-to-head.
Let's do it.
Let's go for. This is our last game. Yeah. Each fare is worth how much? Wait. Oh, hold up. Those are the options. Each fare is worth 1,000. So yeah, it would be like
10 minutes?
Basically 10 people. Whoever gets 10 people first.
Okay.
To their destinations. You go for the Shriner's Cart, the Electoris Canyonero.
I'm gonna be the old guy.
You're gonna be Grandpa.
Yeah.
I'll be Bart then, I guess.
Do you know the voice of Bart is a woman?
Yes. She, same person who did the voice of Tommy from the Rugrats, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, I could see that. I could totally see that.
Yeah, she's really talented as a voice actress. That's another thing that would be kind of fun to be, like, to get into, is, like, being a voice actor.
I think that's a career that my brother should go into. For sure.
Loading. So yeah, like I said about the load times, they're still definitely there, especially depending on the games.
One thing that I found with the Wii U is the load times are long. Like, as nice and new as the system is, and how beautiful the graphics and everything are, the Wii U is slow.
Yeah. I wonder if part of that too is like how big the Wii U games themselves are. How do you go for it?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Crashing into stuff.
What is my goal for this game?
I'm just following the giant hand of God that's floating above me. Oh, I just went through the grass.
I can't steer.
Okay,
oh, there
so the square button is like to do like slides and stuff. Circle is to go backwards. Triangle doesn't seem to do much. Alright, so yeah, you want to basically...
I'm like having trouble though with like steering.
So if you press the square, it'll like basically put the handbrake on, and you can like make super quick turns. It also might be your car. I'm sure each of the individual cars probably have different like stats for handling and speed and that kind of stuff.
You come back here.
Oh, you stole my passenger!
Yeah, boy.
No!
Wait, how do I pick up somebody?
You have them already. You have to follow the hand that's above you to deliver them. Haha!
No.
Mine now. Oh no. No, go faster. Go faster. Ah. It's been a long time since I played this. I also remember playing like Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
I just saw you go fly.
I went right through something. Wait, now I'm stuck.
Oh no!
No!
Oh, you almost backed up into me and stole my passenger again. Oh wow. I forgot how hectic this this multiplayer mode went. I am also glad that we decided to go for you know, the middle amount instead of like the full 1,500, because that was our first passenger. So yeah, you just basically want to follow the hand, and that'll lead you to either the passenger you need to pick up or where you need to deliver them, depending on if you have them. Stop trying to like right on top of my car. Oh no! Wait, what? Oh nope.
Take me to Seymour's house.
There it
If
is.
anyone asks, just tell them.
No!
Oh, I can't see anything. That tree is...
Okay, I lied. This is my favorite game.
This is definitely fun, yeah. Oh, no! Caught on a... nothing. What am I caught on? I'm caught on an invisible wall. Don't know why I said wall so weird.
Oh, I say wall.
Wall. Okay. Well, this person's just chilling in the water. That's normal. It's perfectly normal. Oh yeah, I can beat now too. Look behind me. Right trigger, right 2 is like also handbrake.
Don't forget to ride.
Alright. Kneeling on my cord. I'm like getting closer and closer to the TV as I get more into the game.
Hello there, fair citizen.
Ah!
Can you please take me to the Maison Derriere for an important meeting?
No problemo. Hey.
No! Get back here. Like how we're both so intently focused on the game that
This is like my speed game.
it's like we're both in try-hard mode now. Yeah, I used to have a lot of fun with this and Crazy Taxi back in the day too. I remember doing like pizza parties with friends and stuff where we'd just like take turns on like Crazy Taxi and try to like beat each other's scores and stuff. Because Crazy Taxi also used to be a arcade game that then got ported. I can't go this way, can I? Nope. We're tied. We're neck and neck right now.
Do we do 5,000 or 10,000?
10,000.
Oh man, we're gonna have to stop this game early. Let's play to 5,000.
Yeah, whoever gets
This
the
is
5,000
gonna take a
first.
long time.
Yeah, I did not realize, especially because of the whole stealing mechanic. Like, I didn't realize that was a thing. I figured it would just be like,
I've got some looting.
bye. Is there like a speed boost button?
Yeah, it's just your gas.
I missed myself.
Alright, stop.
I got stuck somewhere. I'm like real stuck.
That happened to me when I was like in a truck earlier.
You broke something there. Look where you're going, you idiot.
So I think this game also actually had a Game Boy Advance version, if I remember correctly.
Safe and sound.
That was a pretty impressive port. Like, it still was like not the best, but it was impressive for what the Game Boy Advance could do. Especially. Was it Game Boy Advance or was it Game Boy Color? I feel like it had to be the Advance.
To the church, please, and I'll expect to see you there on Sunday.
No problemo.
Especially because that was a system that couldn't really handle the ups and downs of the roads as well. So like they had to like figure a way around that in programming. This is Mario Kart for Game Boy Advance had the same issue where like a lot of them had to be perfectly flat courses because it just wasn't that easy to
Don't forget to ride.
program in like the ups and downs and the 3D aspect of it.
Cool.
Driving around in the water down there?
Yeah, I got a little stuck.
Hey Nelson.
Alright, I give up. I tap out. I'm like upside down on a pole.
Yeah, time for some mass destruction, man. Aw, you're driving like a granny.
I tap out. This is my submission.
He's gonna run over random people. Where is it? It's over this way. Okay. So.
Did I do something wrong?
Alright, so this is my favorite game of the week. That's my answer. Do I think it holds up? Not really, but it's still kind of fun. Like I think every game we've played is fun.
Yeah.
But definitely like graphics wise, it does not hold up. Same thing with the first game we played, the Silent Hill game. Even though it was really good for its time, it definitely does not hold up graphic wise to horror games now, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like if in terms of graphics, a lot of them can be pretty rough. One thing I do know that I've heard is a lot of them, if you actually were to play them on an old school CRT TV, they actually looked different and better in a way because they were actually made specifically for that kind of format. So I wonder if playing
I think if we play on an older school TV, if it would look better.
Because playing it on an HD TV like this, you can definitely tell like the pixelation and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like, yeah, if we were to play on an actual like old school CRT TV,
it might look a lot nicer.
It would smooth out a lot of those edges and like help bring back detail that gets lost in translation. For me, I feel like the system definitely holds up overall. Certain games more than others, but even if you're not super like crazy about graphics, like if you don't have need stuff to be super HD and you're just looking for a good time, I feel like a lot of them definitely hold up. And then especially a lot of the later games in the system's like life cycle, like ones that were released later on, were able to take more advantage of the system's capabilities. There's a lot of these games that we've played too were like within the first year or two of the system's release.
We didn't play any games like released in 2013 or 2012 or anything that was
towards the end of it.
Towards the tight end.
So
oh crap! You just passed me. And you're really close to the end point.
For me, I think my top 3 favorites would have to be number 1, definitely the Silent Hill franchise, and between this and Silent Hill, between Silent Hill 2, 3, or 4, I think I'd have to go with Silent Hill 2. That's definitely my favorite out of the Silent Hill games I've played. So number 1 is Silent Hill 2. Number 2 is going to be Zone of the Enders, because as much as I'm sure it hasn't aged as well as it could have, like there's enough there and enough nostalgia there too that like the combat is extremely engaging. I feel like it could get a little like grindy over time, like with some of the missions, but overall definitely a fan favorite for me. So Zone of the Enders is my number 2, and then number 3, I might have to go for Kingdom Hearts, actually.
What is that?
It is an RPG made by, it's a collaboration between Squaresoft, who did Final Fantasy and the Final Fantasy games, and Disney. So it's basically Final Fantasy with Disney characters in it. So like a lot of the characters are like you literally like have Donald Duck and Goofy and like a bunch of the other Disney characters helping you out as you go through battles and stuff. And it was just such a unique combination that I definitely think that's got to be my my 3rd most favorite game for the system, especially because not having had the system for such a large part of my life, I haven't played nearly as many games as
like I
have for the other ones. So out of the ones I've played, those are definitely my favorites. I'm stuck on a hill here. What's going on? I'm gonna not get up the hill! And yeah, so overall I think the system has held up for sure, especially if, like I said, you don't really need super fancy graphics to be able to enjoy a game. I feel like even in terms of between this one and the GameCube, I feel like the GameCube probably increased the graphics a little bit more.
No!
Hi.
Hell no! I was about to win! I was just about to win. Alright, I give up. I'm done. That was the end.
I found the area that you'd have to go to, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay here and wait for you to do all the work for me.
Alright, well, that was our episode for the day. We talked about what games we like. Comment below or on our Twitter what games that you like for the PlayStation 2. And catch us next week on Friday around 5 o'clock for our next YouTube video.
Yeah, we'll be doing GameCube. It's a special double pack next week. We'll be checking out the GameCube as well as a bunch of Xbox original games. Played on the Xbox 360 because unfortunately my original Xbox ended up dying a while back out of natural causes, and
natural causes.
It was very sad. I was playing Halo 2 and all of a sudden the system just started smoking, and I'm like, that's not good.
Smoking?
Yeah, it just like, it was like this close to bursting into flames. So I had to like yank the power out, try to save the disc. It was a whole ordeal. And then I had to have a burial. In any case, there's a link down in the description to vote on what games you want to see us play next week for both the GameCube and Xbox games. So make sure to go vote on that and tune in. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. Have a great day, guys.
Peace. Peace and love.